A Sussex police inspector has managed to keep his job, even after being caught out having sexy times whilst on duty with a colleague. Married Lane, yes, he was married too, was also uncovered to have sent a video to the female colleague of him performing a sex act whilst on duty. Inspector Lane had met the woman in 2018 when they both were working as part of the missing persons team. They became friends, and in 2020 the pair became flirtatious with one another, sending each other flirty messages. Even though Lane was married and had children, the pair became romantically involved in 2021. Sometime in the early part of 2021, Lane sent the woman a picture of his pecker whilst he was on duty, and it was 2 days later he visited the woman at home whilst he was on duty for some further investigation. During a misconduct hearing, the woman, who has not been named, was asked, "How long were you engaged in sexual activity?" She replied, "Probably most of the time he spent at my address. I recall the comment that he was on duty at the time. It was anywhere between half an hour and an hour." In June of the same year, Inspector Lane revisited the woman's house again whilst he was on duty, and this time was there for around 6 hours. Now that's like more than half a shift on the job. Lane told the hearing that he carried out police work on his laptop, but the woman told the hearing that "it's really clear in my head he had his radio on my bedside table listening to the radio whilst we were engaged in sexual activity. We were having full sex. He did not turn it off. It was turned down very low. I couldn't hear clearly what was going on." Lane defended his actions by saying that his escapades never happened whilst he was on duty, but it was determined from the dates and times that he was in fact on duty. So Lane had breached, at the very least, authority, respect and courtesy, as in police staff should act with self-control and tolerance, treating members of the public and colleagues with respect and courtesy, because he clearly had no self-control, and breached his authority as a senior plod, work and responsibilities, as in police staff are diligent in the exercise of their work and responsibilities, whereas Lane skirted his duties to nail some bint. Confidentiality, as in police staff treat information with respect and access or disclose it only in the proper course of their work, because Lane left his radio on whilst with his colleague. Granted, she was police too, but he would have received information via his radio that she was likely not entitled to. Discreditable conduct, as in police staff behave in a manner which does not discredit the police service or undermine public confidence in the police service. I don't think I really need to explain this one any further. And honesty and integrity, as in police staff are honest, act with integrity and do not compromise or abuse their position. Again, no need to explain this one other than to say he denied sexy times while on duty. The misconduct panel at Sussex Police Headquarters did conclude that Inspector Darren Lane did in fact breach some of the standards of professional behaviour, and that they considered his behaviour to have been very serious. Very serious. So serious, in fact, that they decided for all the breaches of professional standards, his fitting punishment should simply be a written warning. Considering there are 10 standards of professional behaviour, and I think he breached at least 5 of them, he got off pretty damn lightly. Detective Superintendent John Robeson, Deputy Head of the Sussex Police's Professional Standards Department, said, "Police officers must behave in a manner that does not discredit the police service or undermine public confidence, whether on or off duty." But he has undermined public confidence. "We expect the highest possible standards of our officers and staff, and we take any report of inappropriate behaviour extremely seriously." So seriously, he only got a written warning. This officer's behaviour is a violation of the trust that the public put in the police to serve and protect them. He certainly didn't just violate the public's trust in this case, did he? He has not only let down the public, but also his colleagues, who carry out an enormous amount of good work with victims of serious offences every day. Now, I've heard less breaches from lowly plod who have been fired. Granted, not many, as most leave before their hearing, so get fired by default, but this guy, Inspector Darren Lane, was on duty. His job was to ensure that the teams on shift were doing their jobs and dealing with police work himself, which he wasn't, which is a dereliction of duty. He breached at least half of the police's professional standards, and he gets to keep his job. It's a joke. If you would rather get your end away than do your job, a job that requires you to be ready and at your best at every moment, then you shouldn't be in the police at all. Mind you, I think we all know by now that the police simply can't seem to keep it in their trousers these days. It's almost like a prerequisite requirement for joining the police. Oh, good afternoon. Thanks for coming in for your police interview today. Before we start, I must ask, have you any sexual offence convictions? No? It's not really what we're looking for. How about urges to engage in sexual activities that you think would interfere with your role as a police officer, such as sex on duty, using your job as a vulnerable woman dating service, or being able to have unfettered access to children? Oh, you do? Fantastic. You're hired. No need to worry about a background check. Here's your badge, your uniform's over there, and your first job is to visit a single woman who has 4 children who has been a long-time victim of domestic abuse. I thought I'd start you with an easy one. And as for banging your colleagues, just work your way up the ranks a bit, and you can use your senior role to impress or intimidate younger officers into bed with you. Sorry, couldn't really resist that little outburst. If you found this report informative, please show your support with a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. Of course, if you don't want to add a comment, you could always leave an emoji, which YouTube will still take as engagement and will help the channel. Don't forget, if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing and stay tuned for the next video.